This is Overtime with Matty.
And welcome back to our brand new podcast, our second edition of Overtime with Matty here on 531 PI as part of our Pacific Grandstand. And we welcome this morning a very special guest who's come all the way from across the hall. Our guest this morning is the man none other than Tim Dennis.
We get the government name.
Otherwise known as TimProvise.
Hold up, my WINS officer might be listening in, and they've been chasing me around. So apparently that's my last name.
Oh man.
Radio presenter, TV presenter, influencer, teacher, coach, comedian, actor, and the man with the greatest palate for pies in the world. Welcome this morning, brother. Thank you, first and foremost, for being here and joining us. And it's an honour to have you with us to have a chat about all things sport, but obviously the sport that you love and your background, which we'll get to in a moment, which is basketball. How you been, bro?
Bro, it's an honour to be here. Like, first and foremost, there's levels to this. There was, all these big, hey Tim, come on us. No. I come on the grand scanner. I come here with Matty. I come here with my bros, and we speak it up. We talk it up. But no, it's great. Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you for being here. You've done so much in the world of sports as well as on the on air side too. You're about to head off into a new adventure, but reflecting on you've done a lot of sports coverage as well, and Crowd Goes Wild, and basketball and rugby league, rugby union, all sorts, combat sports, UFC, you've been there. So talk us a little bit about that process and how what got you into sort of sports coverage.
Well, I've always the bakery stuff got me in the door, really. But like when we started doing the bakery run stuff, it was because I had a goal. I was like, okay, I want to get better at being on front of camera and speaking and because I was doing the podcast as well at that time. So I was already okay at speaking, and then I was like, I need to be better on camera. And then Sky were looking for footage of Junior Far, and they were like, we can't find much on thing. And then if you type in Junior Far into YouTube, the first thing that comes up is the bakery run episode we had with him. And then they looked at it and they go, man, this guy's really good, we should give him a go. And then it just took me one go at it. And then I was a bit worried at the first one, but then they gave me another shot, and then they just kept giving me opportunities. So it's been a cool little journey, and I loved it. But I'm like, they got me in there to do that, but they didn't realize that I had a background in coaching and with basketball. So, and I don't think a lot of people do. So it's quite cool to kind of. It's my secret identity,
Talk us a little bit about that, because as we chopped it up before, you were the coach at many different schools as well. On top of your teaching career, you coached at Avondale College, which is the best school in all of Auckland and all of New Zealand. But talk us a little bit about your coaching background. Bro.
So I used to play. I played second division. I played through age groups and stuff for Counties Monaco, and then then I popped my knee out. I did my MCL, and then I was kind of like, they're like, do you want to coach? And then I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And I've always been good with talking with kids, and then they paid you for that. And then I was like, oh man, I might as well just do it. At least I get paid to be part of basketball. And then that just kind of snowballed. I was only young. I was only like 17, 18, and that snowballed into all the way to going overseas and even coaching the national team. I'm assistant coaching for the Junior Tall Blacks and Junior Tall Ferns. So I have had a lot of people don't really know that about me, but I love the game. I love the intricacies of the sport, and also of leadership as well. I love to delve into that.
You've travelled the world through basketball.
Yep.
You've been able to rub shoulders with some big names in the game. Tell us some of the lessons and some of the takeaways you've taken from meeting some of those people and being in some of those surroundings.
I think a turning point for me was I was very lucky to get a good 3-month stint at the University of North Carolina, which is Michael Jordan's ex-school.
Wow.
So I was there as like a coaching development thing, and I got to talk with Roy Williams, who was a legendary coach. This is before he left. This was the year of his last national championship, but just learning the ins and outs of leadership and also delegation of tasks. But his way that he the one thing that really got me with him was that he would always pitch like winning being the byproduct of something. Like development every day will be the byproduct will be winning, but if we don't focus on the development, then the byproduct's not going to be happening. So it's a really interesting thing. I mean, I've done that. I mean, I've been under some really great coaches like Jody Cameron, Pero Cameron, Paul Hinari as well. So, being able to watch them in their element and behind closed doors has been an amazing tool, not just for basketball, but just in life and putting, putting work into something.
Stephen Adams has made a name for himself in America and in the NBA. We've got the Ledger sisters playing college basketball. There's some young New Zealanders slowly coming through. Where is the game? Where is the state of basketball at the moment in New Zealand?
I think right now it's in a great place. I think with the NBL growing as much as it is, but some of the youth that we have coming in, like I think after Steve cracked it and he was a great, asset for any team that he had, by not having to score, just doing his job, and especially for our Pacifica, they go, hey, you don't have to score 50 points a game to affect the game, and then it did change. Like there was a lot more change in the mindset that this could possibly be something. But right now, there's some kids out there that there's a boy Julius Halafunua, who's a Tongan boy who he lives in Australia. He's from here. He's from the North Shore. Now he lives in Australia and he goes to the NBA camps. He's going to be the next thing, I think. Yeah. But there's so many out there. I mean, when I was coming up, everybody was buzzing out that Tom Abercrombie was going to college. Everyone was like, wow, you get to go to college? I think we have it's 150 female athletes going to college now.
Wow.
And the males are just even more. And there's opportunities for D1, D2, D3 colleges are nuts now. Like, it's easier to go over there, and if you put in the work.
Yeah, and speaking from a coaching perspective with basketball, obviously it's a global sport, and tucked away in little old New Zealand, where we have some of our up and coming athletes who are aspiring to go to college, to go to the NBA. How is that process for them at a young age? At high school level, I know a lot of my mates, my some of the boys at school would aspire to go, make college. Only a few of them, I think, ended up going over to America to play college. So talk to us a little bit about the pressures and the challenges as well from being down here.
Yeah, I think the pathway is a lot more cleaner now. Like before, it was who you knew type buzz, but now it's and there's always going to be those cowboys that are going to be like, if you come with me and pay this X amount of money.
Yep.
But I think with the power of the internet right now and the power of social media and being able to put your stuff out there and send your stuff away to these coaches, it's a lot easier. But in saying that, there are, on the flip side of that, there are kids that, want the all-star rewards without the all-star work ethic, and they get weeded out quite easily. But it is like that, and it's great to dream. It's great to have our youth dreaming about things, but learning about the intricacies of the game and being able to actually work for it is something that a lot of us, some of them forget sometimes.
And the pathways to any sport, to the top, is tough, which makes it so rewarding when you do get there, but a lot of people don't unfortunately make it because of injuries, as you came across. And how important is it that you impart your story on some of these younger players that are coming through, that there's still a pathway to the game through coaching, but you've got to work outside, putting your teacher's hat on as well.
Yeah, I think I mean, I heard this quote the other day. I don't know who said it, but there's a massive gap between good and great. Like, to get from just being an amateur to good is not so bad. Like, it's the difference between a B student and a C student and a D student. There's not much gap, but to get from B to A plus and be one at the top level, it's not easy, and there's a lot of sacrifice that comes with that. And I think for me, being as a coach, where you're not on the floor, like you're not scoring buckets, but you're thinking the game. You're always and you're teaching a lot. There is a massive it's not as big as a player. I mean, there was no way I'm 5 foot nothing. Like, there was no way I'm going to the NBA, and I knew that from a long pick. But I love the game, and I wanted a way I could give back. And I think a lot of our kids now, they can go, okay, you don't have to be 6'4" or whatever, as long as you love the game. That's the main thing, is the love of the game, whatever game it is,
But in saying that, Spud Webb, Parker Jackson Cartwright, there's still a place for the small man.
Yeah, there is. But hey, when you got these, when you got the genes like me, okay, I got those jockey genes.
Yeah.
Okay, I could be a good jockey.
Bro, I'm just going to move into your sports coverage. Obviously, you do some work for Crowd Goes Wild, but how is it going? Not as an athlete, but as a reporter, going into these spaces, but also having an opportunity to showcase yourself and your personality to some athletes. I've seen you do some videos with the UFC dudes, you with Sean Strickland, and you're just being yourself, bro. You're breaking that barrier. Talk us a little bit about that experience.
You asked me about that, but before Ian, I felt stink because I couldn't give you an answer. Because you say, how do you go into these spaces and not just change? And it's hard for me. But I think for me, I found I'm glad that I had this success at my age and not younger. Like if I was in my 20s and going there, I probably would have been like, oh, okay, that person acts like that.
Yeah.
I need to act like that. But for me, I kind of already established my character, and my character is just myself, and I'd be funny and get all that done. And I learned that through the bakery run stuff. But when you go, and I think I just switch off. I honestly, and I said this to you before, like I put the suit on and I just like go into an alter ego. Like I'm like, okay,
suit, shorts.
I put the suit on, I put this dumb tie that I found at the Save Mart on for $2. And I just kind of like transform, and I know that it's my alter ego. Like I remember I used to work at Child Youth and Family, OT now, with youth in the residences, and I used to always just watch The Rock, because he's Dwayne Johnson, and then he turned into The Rock.
Yeah.
And so I was like, as soon as I get through these doors and put this chain on, then I'm my version of The Rock, and he needs to be strong, and like I always put on that alter ego, I suppose, and it's not like I'm trying to be someone different. It's just me turned up to 12, So, but when you're in those spaces, though, it is quite daunting. Like the UFC was very like, oh my gosh, like people don't let you just say whatever you want here. But at the end of the day, hey, it is what it is. I just if I get knocked out, it'll go viral and I'll be even funnier. So yeah.
Yeah, I talk about that because it was interesting. We had a story, last year you took me along to the Kiwis, and that was a great opportunity. But for me as a reporter, when I was going into that space, I'm a fan. These guys are my idols. Some of the athletes that I've watched growing up, and going in there and just. It's from this side as a reporter side, it's hard to sort of tuck that away. That that feeling that you're seeing your these guys up close for the first time. How do you sort of tuck that away, bro, and just carry on with?
Yeah, part of that when I put that suit on and I turn into somebody else, I turn into an absolute beginner. I knew who some of those dudes were, but I had to pretend that I didn't know them, so I could alleviate any of that fanboyness that would pop out. Like Israel Adesanya, for instance. I'm like the biggest Israel Stylebender fan, out. And I needed to make sure that when I met him, and I've met him a few times, but not like in that thing, that I was, I'm nervous, but in actuality I wasn't. But yeah, I put that persona on just to kind of get me through, I suppose, and to alleviate. Like I'm not trying to be a massive fanboy. Like I probably would fanboy out at some people, but it would come across funnier. So because with Crowd, it's interesting because we are reporters, but it has to have an element of fun with it. And I'm just some of the athletes appreciate that. Like you've experienced that, Willie?
Yeah. We're really appreciative of just people being people and not trying to change around you, and you recognise that. Yeah. No, not that I've had many, but you do recognise somebody acting different and a bit over the top.
There's this thing, I read this thing about man, I don't know. Do we have a lot of time on this one? I don't want to go.
Go on, bro.
I saw this analogy of when you're driving down the countryside and you're just driving, and then like there's sheep and there's cows, and it's the regular thing all the time. If you saw one that had a purple skin on or something like that, you're gonna recognize the purple cow. You're gonna have to recognize the purple cow. It's just right there. And my job is to be the purple cow. Like I did it, and like I'm driving towards a shoot thinking, how can I be the purple cow? How can I be a little bit different so these guys kind of remember me, because then that opens up doors later on.
These guys, Willie, when we went into the Kiwis camp, bro, we walked in and Tim was kind enough to invite me along to go along with him to this Kiwi camp, and I'm sitting there, waiting in the room before we go into that media room, and Tim walks in, and these guys watching the All Blacks game. I think it was the
semi-final.
Ireland, the
Yeah,
semi-final versus Ireland, and all these Kiwis boys, they turn and look at him and sort of whispering like kids, man. And I'm like, man, these guys are professional athletes, and they see this guy walk in, and I'm just buzzing out. But I think, in the sense of an athlete, and you can attest to this, Willie, but. When a reporter comes in, they get constant questions, normal questions, boring questions, and that from people that might not look like them or might not think like them or act like them. But how important is it as an athlete to sort of feel someone come in with an energy that feels homey?
Yeah, it helps. It helps. It helps to talk to someone that you're comfortable with, and you feel that through experience, I suppose. You know who the real experienced reporters are, the ones that are trying to angle for something.
Yeah.
There was a reporter in the UK, and he'd sit you down, you'd be there for half an hour.
Oh, stuff that.
Jeez.
But you knew he was trying to angle for something. You just had to be protective, and every now and again you might slip up and let something out, but all right, I got my story,
Gotcha.
But when it's a conversation, it's a little bit different and relaxed, and those ones are you work with the people you build a trust with.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I don't think I've got enough credit for getting James Fisher-Harris here, guys.
Man.
Okay.
He's got the
Listen,
Warriors. James Fisher-Harris.
I made that man slip up, I'm just saying. And then, out comes, I got so many thanks for that.
Man.
So many people, thank you, Tim, hey. I was like, it's my pleasure, man.
5%.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
At least some tickets, Warriors.
Yeah.
Come on.
I hear ya.
We gotta go to Frank's or order the wiener, please. It's $18 for a Frankfurter. Please give me that discount or something.
Just on some of that, talking about James Fisher-Harris, was it ever your intention, because this is how I've taken some of it, with the bakery run, some of your guests, you've been able, one, to promote the athletes and get their name out there, but you've brought some of their character out, some of the lighter side. I remember seeing Dan Hooker, and he was really jovial about it. Joseph Parker was really happy when I saw his one. You bring a lighter side to it. Was that your intention when you started the show?
So when I did my podcast, that was the whole thing. When I did my podcast was like, okay, how can I be the purple cow? How can I be a bit different here? And then I noticed that if I just made jokes and got them, I found a rhythm there. And then I found through coaching, like to get rapport with someone, to be able to get a quick buy-in, and then I just used that with the bakery run. It didn't ever start off like that. Like if you go back to number one, like it's all about the pies and but little by little, it's turned into this talk show. It's a chat show, really, that we just eat pies and talk about them. And some people don't like that, but some people do. And but it's just in my nature. Like I don't try it. It's just like I don't know. People kind of open up to me easier, and away we go. And
Well, it's a little bit what Matty's asking about, people feeling relaxed and feeling comfortable around people that they automatically feel. You have got that aura, obviously with guys, and
I also think like a lot of them see my work, like they see, and I've had athletes like, oh, finally you come to the Blues later, oh, finally come to the Hurricanes. You've been at the because like. They see it and they want that because they want to have like everybody wants to have a joke. They've just been playing. They've just been everyone wants to have a joke and a laugh without this whole tell us about what's next or what did you where were the negatives of the game. Like no man, I want to know random stuff. And it's a great little thing like that I see all the time. It's awesome.
And that's probably a really good byproduct, I suppose, of the purple cow.
100%.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
They've got mics thrown in their faces every single day, and asking them those technical questions.
Idiot with like shorts and a $2 suit coming over to him, and then asking funny questions that they can relate to. Like I remember, who was it? One of the I can't remember who was the Kiwis. I was like, bro, rumor has it, and he was like, you could see, I was like, are the rumors true? And you could see him like tensing up, and I was like, are you the best Call of Duty player in the NRL? That's what we've heard. And then you remember, and he was like, oh yeah, man, you can catch my Twitch stream on da-da-da, and I was like, and you could just see him like tensing up, and then, and
that's
then like Nelson, I was like, when's the GQ shoot happening, mate? You're looking you're looking sicky, brother. And then, you know, like, yeah. And there's like an obvious, like, I have like a template that I use with everybody.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's, you know, break the ice, come with some funny stuff, hit them with a real question, and a funny stuff, and then get the hell out. Like, you know, it's yeah. But you have to be able to do the funny stuff and do it witty and do it good and do it topical about what's happening.
Talking about witty, and coming away a little bit from sport, you've ventured into the world of stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
I've got so much admiration for people that get up on stage and are willing to put themselves out there. And as a coach, I wanted to create an environment where people were comfortable with being vulnerable. And if comedians, that's what you're doing. You're putting yourself out there, and you're so vulnerable on stage, and you don't know the audience. How did you come across that, and how's that going for you?
Man, like, yeah. I mean, I've dabbled in it, but I mean, I've been doing it for ages, but just not on a stage. Like, as a teacher, I was doing it. I was being funny in front of these kids, you know.
Yeah.
And then come into the morning shake. It's every day you're trying to find a new angle to be funny with. And then moving on, like to the Krug as well, to the bakery and stuff. You're always looking for, you know, things to be funny with. But I mean, it's just an extension of that. But just this time, you know, if you don't get a laugh, it hurts a little bit worse. They can't just skip your video, you know. But it's good. I mean, I've got a lot of good people around me that have done it and that know the game. You know, like Pax Asari, he's always hooking me up and with information and things to do. Heather Dawson and Courtney Dawson. So I've got the people around me to kind of like egging me on. But it's nice to do them now, and people go, man, like that you've pulled it together. It's pretty good. So yeah, but I'm still learning. I mean, I just look at it from a sport background. Like, you know, you always got to. It's a muscle you got to flex and get bigger with. You know, so that's what I'm trying to do.
So awesome. Taking a bit of your methodology, we've had a bit of fun and spoken about yourself.
I see what you're doing there, brother.
We'll get into the serious stuff now.
Hey, you've turned it. That's a Rey Mysterio reversal right there, bro. He's 619 to me, brother, right there. Sheesh.
We're going to move on to some footy talk now, and the Warriors turned their season around from what it was 4 weeks ago when they couldn't buy a win for about a month. They couldn't get a win. Young fellas have come in and turned it around. They're sitting in 10th, I think, 1 point off 8th spot. How enjoyable has it been for you to see the form of the young fellas come in and turn the fortunes of a club around?
I mean, it's good for the future of the club. You know what I mean? Like, we can't keep producing chicks for, you know, our older, you know, and no disrespect, you know, like, it's just the circle of life with any sport. You know, that your younger ones, that's why you have them. You know, you have your development players so they can see how to train and how the best of the best they do it. I mean, we're in the same place we were last year, really. I mean, we were 7-6 at this point in the season last year, and then we went on a run, and now we're 6-1-6 now. So, I mean, you know, like I think what it's actually highlighted is how like fickle some of these people, like these fans can be.
Yeah, these Warriors fans, man, and myself included. Sometimes,
true.
Sometimes, man, sometimes.
Do you want to unpack that, bro?
Oh, coming to work after, and me and Willie talk about it on the Saturday show, or even on Monday mornings when I catch up with Levi and Will with a Warriors during that little slump, that 5-week slump. Oh man, I was slumped in my seat, bro. I was like, I don't want to talk about the Warriors. When people were asking around the office, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's going on, man. But the last 3 weeks have been absolutely great. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because, bro, when they started winning and everyone took your Warriors Cup, bro, you know?
Bro, yep, just about that story.
And then they lost it.
They lost.
And no one took it. Is your cup still available?
Well, funny thing you said that because it just went missing again last night. Bro.
See?
I just had it yesterday, and for the 4th time, my Warriors Cup, Up the Wires Cup, I got it for Secret Santa Christmas. I've sent an all-staff email twice, and now again it has gone missing. So
it was after that Panthers win, I bet. After that Panthers win, man, it's gone.
Oh man, no, but I think you know, coming back to the Warriors, I think it's been great just to see them bring up the next man up. They spoke about it in the press conferences this week, that idea of the next man up. Wade Egan talked about it, Chance Nickel-Klockster talked about it, head coach Andrew Webster talked about it, that next man up idea that, you know, the next man's going to come and take your jersey. If they have an opportunity, they're going to come up and they're going to show up, because you never know. When you're called up to the first grade, it might be your first and only chance, or might be your last chance that you get an opportunity to showcase your skills. And I think during that time where our star players were out, the boys that came up from the cup side were doing outstanding, fantastic. Look at Moala Graham Taufa when he came in and had his debut during Heritage Round. He had a really outstanding game out in the back row and out in the centres as well. You look at the likes of Zion Mai'u, the first Pacifica boy with a better in the NRL ever. To see that the better flying in the NRL was something great that our people can aspire to. So definitely that idea of the next man up is something that all sports teams are familiar with. But how important, Willie, is that? Just having an opportunity for these younger blokes that when the time comes, their number is going to be called.
It's important for the coaching staff. It's important that they have the trust that they can call these young guys. What could happen as well is with these guys having these injuries, Roger having an injury and being out for a little bit, Sean being out for a little while and coming back, they could see that as having a bit of a mid-season rest. And as Tim's talking about, they could replicate what happened last year and go on a bit of a run now with that freshness behind them. Some question marks, the age and injuries and all that sort of thing.
Because we saw it in the first 3 games of the season. The boys would get off to an amazing start and then it'd just take the it would be a crash. And that's a trainable thing. You train that in training. You at the second half of training, if training's an hour, the last half hour is going to be harder than the first half hour. Like there's ways to get around there. And I think that's what probably happened. But being halfway through the season, and getting their legs towards the end of it's going to be amazing. And we saw it in the Panthers game. They came up in the clutch, and I think at the end of the day, that's what you need to do, especially when it comes to finals footy.
Yeah,
it gets towards the end.
We talk about it, Willie and I, on Saturdays, bro, about that mid-year season. When we get to the mid-year, where we've had a lot more reps to have. They've had a lot more games to play. They sort of know who's the teams to watch out for, who's the team that's finding form. But around the season, during Origin season, especially in the mid-year, June, July, is where teams very, very much will determine how the rest of their season will go. Whether they'll skyrocket and they'll continue the upward trend, or they'll just plummet and be hit with injuries and fatigue and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite interesting.
I think momentum is a massive thing in any sport, but momentum brings body language, and if your body language is great and everybody's body language is together, then that's the momentum, because everybody feels good winning. So no one gets depressed about, oh man, we won again, or so I think that's what it really is, and that's what was last year. Last year it was the confidence that they went into that last little bit towards the playoffs, and then then things started sparking. And I think I can see that beginning. I just hope that it continues on.
One of the greatest coaches in rugby league, Jack Gibson, used to say, winning starts on Monday. And Monday's so important for what you're saying. And I noticed it when I was coaching. Monday would tell you a lot. If they bounced in on a Monday, they were ready to go. And usually that's that confidence, momentum, that belief that comes off the back of a win. And when you lose, the body language changes a little bit. You've got to work harder to get them back up. But at the moment, they are bouncing. And the Warriors are one of those teams that really need to make it count around Origin time. Every single year, they've got to make it count. They have probably the fewest Origin players, and they've got to make it count when they go against teams like the Cowboys, like they did last week, who had 6 Origin players and some returning. So you've got to make it really count and take the wins when those teams are down on numbers or injured players. Speaking of Origin, we'll segue that into some talk about Origin possibly coming to New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
Some talk this morning that Eden Parkers is having some conversations of hosting in 2027.
Wow.
If possible. Is it time? Are we ready here in New Zealand to host an Origin game? Is there a hunger for it?
I think it really comes down to the success of the Warriors, because if people are showing up at those games like they have been, and to those, because we all remember 2 years ago when nobody was showing up at Mount Eden, Mount Smart, and Mount Eden as well. To be honest, because we're in lockdown. But you know what I mean? I do feel as if the Warriors are successful, league is successful in this country, and if they can keep going, and it looks like they will. I mean, bringing James Fisher-Harris, having RTS back, the interest is going to be there. It's whether or not. I mean, man, I've been. Hold up. I went to Eden Park when it was, Tonga and the Kiwis.
Man,
I mean, you were there too, right?
Yeah, we were there, yeah.
It was packed.
Yeah, it was packed.
So they'd have no problem, even if it's just one game. They'd have no problem selling out Eden Park. I don't think.
Yeah, I think the Australians, man, they weren't like that one. Just wanting to bring the game over to New Zealand, but it's always a funny time during State of Origin and during talking about who you support, because people, after whether or not their team has won, the next day they're going to say, oh, why do you care? Because you live in New Zealand, you should go back to your job and all that sort of stuff. So it's funny like that, because in New Zealand, like we talked about earlier, it's like one of the only times where the Kiwis, pledge their allegiance to something Australian. In this case, New South Wales, Queensland.
Or just like Coles Cookies.
Yeah, Coles Cookies.
You know what I'm saying? The Coles Cookies that's what a lot of people, they have allegiances to the Coles Cookies or Cookie Time, where you're at. But you're so right, bro. You are right.
Yeah, it's an interesting time, for State of Origin. But if they're able to nail this down, I think they'll have a good backing from the communities over here. I mean, there's a lot of interest, within the country. And like you said, if the Warriors do well, then definitely rugby league thrives around the country. But for New Zealand, just to have something big like that, I mean, there's talks of having Magic Round, pushed over to Eden Park for New Zealand, and just having something that. For rugby league, I mean, Auckland Nines was taken away, and that was something expressive and something of grand stature for New Zealand rugby league community to have. But
because I think there's a good side and a bad side, right? We look at Magic Round, and people come for the whole entire day.
Yeah.
They have the similar one for the Super Rugby, correct? What is it called?
I think
Super Round.
Super Round. And it's in Melbourne, and man, you could just see green seats because nobody shows up.
Yeah.
And like the fear of that. But I don't think that would happen here. I think everybody would be dying for a ticket to come and watch Game 2 or Game 3 or whatever of the State of Origin series.
Yeah, and probably my perspective on it is they've taken it to Perth, they've taken it to Adelaide, they've taken it to Melbourne, all sold out.
Yep.
But none are rugby league cities.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So, whereas there's probably more of a rugby league following here in Auckland. So I don't think they'd have any issue selling the place out.
Yeah.
My concern would be, is Eden Park big enough, if anything?
Yeah.
And there isn't. I mean, even how much is the cake tin? Like,
45,000.
so the Eden Park's 45, right?
45.
I mean, the cake tin, and then man, we get Otago, bro. Let's take it, eh?
Forsyth Plus NM. That'll be rowdy and very much. I'd go down for that, bro.
We're lighting bro. All the couches will get set on fire. Be nuts.
All the boys, down there.
Baits everywhere, man.
It's it'll be great. Like you said, bro. That rugby league community will savour that, and they'll not only everyone from around the country will come in and support that State of Origin game there, but everyone from Australia will be coming over to watch that, because Origin's something massive in their culture. But the pinnacle of rugby league, if it's ever to come to Auckland, will be there.
My message to Peter V'landys, the head of the NRL: you've taken the game to Vegas, bring an Origin to New Zealand. Bring it here. The people want it. I want it. Let's go. Let's do it.
Pete. Come on, Pete. Sort it out, brother.
Big weekend this weekend for Super Rugby, the quarterfinals. There was a game last night, which we've already spoken about. The Hurricanes and the Chiefs. Down in Wellington, the Chiefs go down there. You live halfway in between. Do you have an allegiance, Tim?
Okay, I'm half and half on this. Okay, I'm half
interesting.
and half on this because I know, like the Chiefs treated me very well when I was down there, and I'm basic like that. Hey, you treat me well, I'll support you. The Blues, they hooked me up with a couple of things here and there, but never like the Chiefs treated me.
Oh yeah.
The Chiefs, they sorted me out. You want a water bottle, Tim? I sorted you, so I'm going with there. And I think, and then I've got allegiances to Adi Savia. You know what I mean? That's my boy.
Yeah.
That's my boy, but he's not playing. But that's my boy.
Man.
But I love the Chiefs. I love what they're doing. I love the way they use their backs. Imuni is. He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. And Samsoni Tokiaho, I really enjoy. I think both of them need to be in there. In the All Blacks, they were last year. Imuni, last year, he was in there and then he got injured, and it's been. I really hope that the Chiefs pull it up, but the Hurricanes are so good this year.
Man, Hurricanes. I think it's going to be a tight tussle, man. It's going to be. Compared to the Blues and Brumbies who also playing this week, I think that the Hurricanes and the Chiefs will be a lot with will draw a lot more eyes, just to know who. It's two top New Zealand sides. The Chiefs have been in hot form towards the end of the season. The Hurricanes have been on top, most of the year. So it's going to be great that both teams have players who have had outstanding careers, outstanding performances, in the season, 2024 season as well. So it's going to be an interesting game. I'm excited to see because the matchup between the forwards and the backs, they've all been playing great.
Because when Roigard went out, everyone was like, "Oh wow, that's it." But TJ Piranado just,
The man is back.
Yeah, that's my guy right there. And so like. It's been cool to, and even like the rise of Duplessis, of Dupes, and it's been a cool little thing to witness.
Yeah.
But they're just so clicked on. They're just so good, like synergy wise. But so are the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs, it's going to be a really good, and that's what I like about this, semifinals and quarterfinals is that there's no more of like, oh, I'm going to rest this person, I'm going to rest that. No, we put our best out and we go for it. And I mean, we saw it last year with the Chiefs. They had an amazing run. Unfortunately, at the getting beat by the Crusaders, but. I mean, we won't talk about Crusaders.
No. Shout out Crusaders. They, shout out to Drua for kicking the Crusaders out.
Hell
the playoffs. But the Crusaders are. It's another story, man. They've had a tough season, and it's coming to the end of the season. It's the first time in a long time they haven't featured in the Super Rugby finals. So it's a good opportunity for these teams. The Chiefs, the Hurricanes, the Brumbies, and the Blues to put their hand up and to figure out who's going to lead these next 10 years forward. Into Super Rugby.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will pip it. I think that it'll be a close one. Yep. It'll be a very, very close matchup. But I do feel as if the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs in the last couple of rounds were just resting a lot of people, and now I think they're ready to roll. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah, I said that to Matty a couple of weeks ago. I had some concerns about the Chiefs for the Blues. Being a Blues fan, I didn't want them to come up against them unless it was in the final, and I just get a feeling that they're primed. They're primed to take this semi-final and beat the Hurricanes down there. Damien McKenzie been rested at the right times, but coming into form. Big fan of Sean Stevenson at fullback. I just think they've got some firepower, as do the Hurricanes. But I just get a sense that they've got the win in the bag for them.
And being at the top of the table, like they were pretty much top of the table all year, really.
Yep.
The Hurricanes, and that does add a sense of, even though a lot of people say it doesn't, it adds a sense of, we're good. Yeah. And sometimes you don't need that as a team going into like playoffs. Sometimes you need to get a little bit of underdog in you and being like, we're ready to shock the world. Not that it would be a massive shock that if the Chiefs won tonight, but I think for me, I'd rather come in as an underdog, especially in a playoff environment or a single elimination environment, and get the job done.
And a bit of what you're saying, consistency and being able to keep with the same squad. The Chiefs go into the game with exactly the same squad that beat the Reds last week, whereas the Hurricanes have made 4 changes to their side. So we'll see which tactic works best. Good luck to both teams. We move on to your sport now. We move on to a bit of basketball and some sad news overnight. Jerry West, Lakers legend, basketball NBA legend, the man who is the badge of the NBA, passed away at 86 last night. Any memories, any thoughts on Jerry West and his input into the game, his impact?
We're in my wheelhouse now here, guys.
Man.
I don't know how geeky you want me to get here.
Go
for it, bro. Yeah.
I mean, there's no Jerry West, there's no Kobe Bryant. Like, let's be honest. He got drafted by the Hornets. They put everything on the line to get this young little 18-year-old, and he's affected the game on the court. I mean, as a player, but also off the court in terms of, GM, being a general manager and understanding the cap rules and the salary caps. He was ahead of his game when it came to that. I spent a little time in Los Angeles, and I never met the man, but he was definitely the guy, in Los Angeles. So it'd be a big loss, but man, his impact will be heard for a long time.
Just a little bit about Jerry West for our listeners. He's a one-time champion. He won the championship 8 times as an executive. He's a 3-time Hall of Famer, 1 as a player, 1 as a gold medalist, and the championship team that won the Olympics in 1960, and 1 as an executive. So such is his impact across the game. And what you said was absolutely correct. There's no Kobe Bryant without him. So, and there's no Shaq There's no Shaq to the Lakers,
He's
so
the one that
there's no
bartered the
partnership.
deal. Yeah,
Wow.
he bartered the deal from Orlando.
True.
Yeah, that was his first job. His first thing he
First
did.
big one, yeah.
But I mean, he spent some time. He spent some time at the Grizzlies as well,
Oh, yeah.
and he also spent some time at Golden State with with a young Steph Curry, and he's been around, and he's got his fingerprints on a lot of NBA stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, his impact can be felt throughout the NBA. There's no doubt. So, a sad loss for the NBA. The finals are on at the moment, as we've spoken about a couple of times on the Morning Shack with yourself. And Game 3 is today.
Yeah.
Game 2, the Celtics are leading 2-0.
2-0,
How do you see it going this afternoon?
Oh, how deep do you want to go here?
Go
Okay, guys?
deeper.
Let's
yeah,
go.
Yeah, hard.
I honestly believe that the Celtics are going to just. I'd be surprised if they don't leave Dallas without one win. They should get a win. The loss of Kristaps Porzingis is going to. Oh, I don't know. We don't know yet. We'll find out today. But without Chris, he's the rim protection. He protects the rim quite well. I'm a Knicks fan, okay, and we drafted him, okay. So
Yeah, that's right.
just so you know, everybody. But I think rim protection and also the ability to drop and drop coverage, which is, when there's a screen, you're able to drop and and be able to play on the ball and off the ball at the same time. I think that's gonna come into tail. But yeah, Jason Tatum and especially Jason Tatum more than ever needs to step up, and he needs to get it sorted. But Jaylen Brown is having an absolutely crazy finals right now, off the ball as well, defensively, which is great. But I do see Dallas taking Game 3 today, and then I think they'll go back and they'll probably get Game 4, I believe.
They've been a bit cagey about Porzingis' injury. They're just saying it's a leg injury, and whether he's going to play or not. His 7'2" height would be a big loss for them. And
they didn't have him for much of the end of the season. He was in and out with injuries, and I think he had like a good 18 games, maybe 20 games off from the season. So, and it was hip, I think. But at the same time, I know him from my Knicks days, and he's soft. Okay, I'm just going to put it there. He's soft. It's the finals. You get, strap it up, put some ice on it, you'll be all right. Put some Vicks on it, you'll be fine.
we do nothing but keep it real here, Tim.
I have to, man. You have to. But yeah, at the same time, I think Kyrie needs to step up, and I think he'll have a big game in Game 3. But Luka's just amazing. Luka's a different beast, man.
Well, that's what I was going to get on to, is Luka can't do it by himself. Luka Doncic 32 in Game 2, and Kyrie Irving only was 16. He's got to step up and give him some support, and that's probably where the Celtics are spreading their scorers across the park.
Well, the problem with that is Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is probably the most elite on-ball defender in the NBA.
Yep.
Bar anybody. You could go whoever you want, but there's nobody that loves defense more than Drew Holiday. He was probably the best pickup of the entire NBA, with the exception of my Knicks picking Hart, my babies. Let's go. But I think Drew Holiday is the reason why the Bucks won. Like he isolated, and he can get his buckets, but he was taking away 20 points and giving 10. So it's a plus minus of 30 really.
Yeah.
So at the same time, Kyrie's getting bothered, but that's not Kyrie. He'll find a way. He'll figure a way out. He always does. Yeah.
Just a bit off track from the finals. Guys like Kyrie and Kevin Durant in the last couple of seasons, it seems like a bit of petulance, and you may tell me differently, when they're not happy and they want to trade early in contracts. What's the deal with some of these players?
I think that player empowerment came after LeBron.
Wow.
When LeBron went to Miami, I think after that everyone was like, we can do it, and it's just kind of growing out as it's going. But these adults are getting so much money, and it's getting crazy and crazier now.
It's crazy, yeah.
And so I think they hold a lot of power. They hold a lot of leverage in putting bums in seats and selling revenue for teams. So I think now more than ever, with the social media age coming up, I think they know their worth, they know their power, and they're using it. And there's a lot of storylines of the NBA that have to do with that. You look at the LeBron and Bronny stuff going on. You look at everything. Like the draft that's coming up, and it's going to be an interesting little spell for what's going on. Yeah.
The Lakers have moved on from their coach. They're looking for a new coach. How much is the LeBron effect affecting that appointment as far as what he wants, or somebody going there and almost not having full control?
I think the narrative is that he has a huge amount of pull, but him just being LeBron James has a massive amount of pull for anything, for like Hollywood movies, and I think, I think it's blown. It does get blown out of proportion quite a lot. I mean, Rob Pelinka, who runs the Lakers pretty much, and Jeannie Buss, I think they know that he's 40. Like, he's 40 in December.
Dang.
And, he's played. He's
still going.
And he's still, man. But I think, I'm interested to see what happens at the draft. Because whoever drafts Bronny,
he's gone, eh?
I don't know if he's gone, but I think if he's drafted to a great team that has a great development program, I think LeBron stays. But if he's drafted to, I don't know, the Hornets or something like that,
he's not going.
Then he's like, maybe we'll figure a way out to make it different. But I mean, Clutch Sport, that that he's a part with, have a bit to play there. I mean, they bought over Anthony Davis pretty much. And but it's an interesting dynamic that everyone's like, whoever there was a JJ Redick thing, there was a lot of talk around who's going to be the next Lakers coach, but I think wait for the draft who you want, and then decide from there. Yeah.
Well, that brings our show to an end. Tim, it's been awesome having you here this morning and chewing it up and giving us your knowledge. And as I said at the start, it's an honour to have you here. It's been an honour to work with you. Indirectly, maybe, but to be in the same company as yourself, it's been a pleasure and been a real honour to see this guy that I saw on YouTube and be next to him, and then now to have this conversation and be with us here on Overtime with Matty. Thank you, bro.
Oh, no, thank you, man. And all the best with everything with this. This is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see what it's like in another year, eh? So keep going.
Thank you so much, Tim, for your time, bro. You've done so much for us here at PMN, and just to have you on our show is really important. So thank you again for your time, bro. If you've missed if you want to listen to the podcast, you can find us on Spotify, on YouTube, as well as on our pmn.co.nz website, where you can chew up this latest episode with TimProvise, the man, the myth, the legend, ahead of.
I told you not to call me
another
then, bro.
week of sport. Yeah,
don't call me then unless you're gonna take this invoice. Thanks
for coming on, bro.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.